Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fighter Heart podcast. I'm sitting here with Camille today. How you doing, Camille?
Good, I'm doing well.
Thanks for being on. Here on the show, we'd like to just get into it right away. Maybe just give us a brief background of who you are, maybe where your upbringing was from, and then get into your Fighter Heart story.
Um, my name's Camille Moses. I grew up in New York, in the Bronx, and then I lived in the DC area for 16 years. And now I've been in Florida, I think like 24 years or so. 12 years ago, I was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and it had metastasized to my liver. My liver was like full of cancer. It was really bad. And the first oncologist I saw told me, there's no hope for you. It's too late. Go home and prepare to die. And from there, I immediately got a second opinion at the University of Miami at Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center. And I met an incredible positive team there who from the very first day, of course, I went there with this horrible news. And from the first day, they were like, who said that? He's not God, and then the oncologist, I started crying. I was petrified because my mom died of pancreatic cancer when I was 24. And then he said, no, this treatment will work as long as your body can handle it. And when I first started treatment, I thought I was going to do it the rest of my life. It'd be a shorter span. And actually, I did 17 months of chemo every other week. It was really grueling. I was really skinny. I was under 100 pounds. I'm not going to say it was easy, but I just learned to manage the side effects. And then after 17 months, my doctor said, I'm going to give you a 2-month break. Chemo holiday is what they call it. And as you can imagine, it was like, yay, for 2 months. And miraculously, I've never had to go back. So all the cancer, first it went away in my pancreas, and then the liver was completely full. And then the liver, it just all went away. Even after I stopped chemo, there was a couple little spots and they went away. So I haven't had any treatment in, let's see, it's been 12 years since I was over 11 years. I haven't had any treatment.
Wow. So what was the treatment that they did? You said it was like some kind of new kind of treatment or
At
experiment.
that time, it had just come out. It came out, it's called FOLFIRINOX. It's a combination of 4 chemotherapies, and it just came out in 2011. So I was treated with it in 2012 when it was given full strength. But then what happened is in 2013, they tweaked it to be a little less toxic, and now they give it to patients at 80% because they get the same result. They it's just a little easier to be on because it's a really grueling chemo. But I did it when it was really mean, so it wasn't fun.
I could imagine. So what can you kind of walk us through what it was like when you got the diagnosis? Like, did you already have a feeling you had something like that, or because
No, it was a
you said your
shock.
mom had it too, so I maybe
Right, but my mother passed away in 1984, and I'm the youngest of 5 siblings, and all my oldest brother's 20 years older. He's kind of like more of a father figure to me. He calls me his bonus daughter. So, my no, because all my brothers were healthy, my sister was at Lake, everyone was healthy. I took it as a shock because and of course, I've had all kinds of genetic testing and everything, and I don't have any mutation unless the mutation hasn't been discovered yet. But, for me, it just, I don't really know. They don't have a risk factor. How about that? There's no risk factor of why it happened. But the fact that it happened to my mother and me is brings a question. But unfortunately, like I said, where I was diagnosed, they saw me as, unfortunately with this disease, a lot of doctors see pancreatic cancer, they assume you're going to die. So they assume that where I was diagnosed, therefore, like when they did the tissue sample, they didn't take enough to profile because they would have learned from the from the tissue sample, they would have been able to profile and learn more. But unfortunately with me, that wasn't the case. So
What made you go to the doctor in the first
I
place?
had pain. At the time I was 53, I was in really good shape. I had 3 big dogs. So I walk like 6 miles a day with my dogs. We bike ride. We live in South Florida, so the weather's always nice. So we're active outside all the time. And then I started getting out of breath after I'd walk my dogs, like really, really winded. And I'm like, I thought something was wrong with my lungs actually, because it started being winded. And then I had pain like on the top of my abdomen, but which was your liver, but who knows that your liver is pain, because actually the cancer was in the liver. It was so bad in there that that's what caused me pain. And then I went to the ER, and I was really fortunate that day that doctor at the ER immediately ran a scan, and he saw spots on my pancreas, liver, and lungs, and admitted me right away, did testing by. So I was lucky in that aspect, that like I didn't have to go to doctor like some people. They find, you know what I mean, they first have one symptom and they go to this doctor and they go. But the other thing with pancreatic cancer, unless you have a scan, they don't see it. So I was really fortunate, because I know so many people who are misdiagnosed, that go to the doctor over and over presenting symptoms, and the doctors don't know that
Yeah.
that's what's going on.
So can you kind of tell us about what it was like maybe that first year, how drastically your life changed
Um,
when you started getting the chemo?
um, it's kind of funny because I probably did everything out of the norm, right? And now I become this patient advocate that people contact me all the time, and they see my story and they contact me and I talk them through it. Diversion. When I was diagnosed in the hospital, I had been sweaty and sick and had, felt horrible. And my hairdresser came and blow dried my hair, right? My daughter had all my pajamas from home, my sheets from home. My boyfriend would bring me my towels every day. So it was, my daughter cleaned the room. All the nurses would come in and go, "Oh, this is my favorite room. It smells so clean." My daughter had a bed in there, and we were in there. It was more of a hotel. In fact, one night I was sitting on the bed and I had this little outfit on, because they had unhooked the IV by then. And the aide walks in like 3 times looking around, and I was like, "Can I help you?" She goes, "I'm looking for the patient." It's me. So of course we went from the hospital, we checked into a hotel on the beach, and we live a mile from the beach, and we had 3 big dogs, so my boyfriend could come here at night. Me and my daughter, we got a suite at the hotel, a cabana, and we invited all our friends. We did a photo shoot. I didn't know what it was going to be like, but I wanted to always be me. Get it? I didn't want it to change, I guess, change my spirit. And I didn't know what was going to happen. It was scary. So we just always had plans. And every 3 months, I grew up in New York, we'd go to New York. I ended up like right into one of the anchors at ABC. We got to visit the set at ABC News all the time. I got friendly with all the anchors. They were kind of cheering me on. So my daughter and I just always had a plan. And when I was really sick, we did a lot of arts and crafts. It was our quiet time. We just did things, but it was, because I would focus on that, like whatever craft we were doing, instead of thinking about cancer. So I just really diverted as much as possible.
Did you end up losing your hair at all, or?
No, I did get, yeah, it got thin. I have like more hair for 5 people. So my hair was like, and that was the first question I asked. But my hair got thin, and then, I had colored it before, and I was afraid to color it on chemo. I was afraid to do anything on chemo because I was afraid the chemo wouldn't work. And when I started chemo in the first 3 months, I knew it was working because everything was shrinking right away. So I knew the chemo was working. So it became my job. Okay, I'm gonna do this, and I became really close with all the nurses, everybody. I'm still close with them today. They became so important to me. Oncology nurses are angels. They're just a different breed. They're amazing. And they're just with you throughout that whole thing, and you become so bonded with them that going to treatment was normal. You understand? It became like, okay, this is what I do. I knew I was going to have my bad week because I was connected to a pump for 48 hours. So I'd get chemo 10 hours, a pump for 48 hours, then go back, get it removed. So it was a week of chemo almost, but I just learned to manage, like, okay, I know I'm going to be tired this day, so this day I won't have plans. But my off weeks, we had plans and we just did whatever and always stayed really positive. And my oncology team, they were like, you're a superstar, you're a superstar. And they just built me up. Like, this is, I went in there crying in a wheelchair. I couldn't even walk of pain. And now, like, every time I'm going there, I'm getting better and better. And it becomes very empowering because you're seeing it work. And that's why I'm such, fundraising everything. And, luckily we're partnered with the Miami Dolphins. It's the biggest NFL donation, and we this year they raised 12 million. I think so far it's over 64 million that goes to Sylvester for cancer research. So we're very cutting edge down here in Miami, where you met Manny, of course, who's another miracle out of there. And so my life revolves around now, helping patients, coach them through this, being involved. Like, I'm going to be part of Miami Precision Medicine by Sylvester, that, because I'm part of the survivorship program now, and I'm part of advocacy. So I'm kind of
Wow.
dual roles. So
How did you get involved with them? And did they
my
approach
nurse,
you?
my nurse who was my doctor's nurse when I was in treatment, we became really, really close. Um, like, it's a bond I'll never have with anyone. I know that. She's an angel. She came into my life on the worst day and acted like it was normal. She made cancer normal. Was so, I'm very full of it. And she's calming,
Mhm.
and she was able to keep me calm and be like, this is nothing, you're going to get through it, it's okay. And she had this effect on me. And then one day she said to me, will you share your story? And I'm thinking, who wants to hear a story about someone with cancer? I didn't realize at the time. And I spoke at the hospital, and then that sort of catapulted to um like people taking notice. And then a nurse who also has a YouTube channel asked me to we did a video in 2016 that still gets seen today. And that's how people find me, through these videos I've done, and reach out to me. And I mean, I've talked to patients everywhere globally, in Malta, in, Italy, in Japan, in England, in Canada. People see my story, and it's a unique story, and it's a story of hope. And that's why I continue to share it, because it is such a negative disease, has such a negative, people, when I was diagnosed, a lot of people looked at me like I was going to die, and I'd say to them, don't go to my funeral before I'm there, please. Like,
Yeah, don't write me off yet.
yeah, right. I always said, don't count me out. And so, and I've made amazing bonds with patients over the years. But it's also really cool. I've been in the lab where they do the research. So I went from being the patient to, like, now being part of this community that I would have never been part of. So I really look at it as, it wasn't, it was just meant to be, like, this was meant to happen. Nothing about cancer is good or easy, but it happened to me, and it brought me a whole different life, a whole different purpose in life. So
If you had a piece of advice to give to someone who maybe just got diagnosed, what's your number one piece of advice you'd give?
stay off the internet. And don't listen to people who say they research, because I find when people tell me I researched it, that's an insult to the real researchers, because I know them, and I spend time with them, and I know them throughout this country who are researching to find cures. So you're insulting them because you're looking on the internet. They're in a lab. So I find it an insult to the researcher.
Yeah, they're
So
reading case studies
right,
for
and they're so
years.
educated, and they have such brilliant minds, and sometimes I can be sitting with these people, I'm like, "How did this happen to me?" You know, like, I'm sitting with people who are literally curing cancer, do you understand? So, what brighter, most amazing person is that is cheering on their patients, and the nurses and the oncology teams, and they're the best people. To me, they're the people who I idolize, who I bow to, because a lot of those oncology nurses, they have families, they have husbands, children, and they're continuing their education. I mean, I'm blown away by their brilliance. I mean, really am. I'm just a little piece in the puzzle, I mean, they're the rock stars out there.
Yeah, but you can't have a whole puzzle without the little pieces too, you know?
Right. Well, they always say they can't do without a survivor, right? So together we can do great things.
Yeah,
Put it
totally.
that way.
What was it like when they told you you were finally cancer free?
Um, well, it started in small bits. Like it didn't, no one's ever use the word remission or anything with me. My word is stable. So I love anchors. I relate when I see something with an anchor, I want it because it's stability. What happened with me is, your stage 4, you don't go backwards. It's considered incurable and all those words. And I don't pay attention to those words. So it was okay, you don't, chemo holidays continue and for another, so I was counting it in months. And like one time I remember I went to New York, it was 21 months no chemo, like and then it became counting it in years. Right, it was like, and it was just like I go once a year now, and all I want to hear is your scan stable, and that's it. That to me, soon as I get my scan stable and a smiley face on a text from my oncologist, then I breathe, because scans are really, really tough. They're horrible, because you don't know whatever's going to happen with this disease. Do you understand? It's not curable, and a lot of people have a reoccurrence. So I had to learn to live with uncertainty and start to focus outside myself, because when you live with not knowing, is the rug going to get pulled out from under me at any time? You have to live, I am a high anxiety person, but I always was. I'm a high energy person. It's probably why people like being around me. Um, but uh and I'm able to give that confidence and that energy to other people, and they're going through a hard time. I'm the person they're going to reach out to, because they know I'm going to make them laugh, I'm going to make them feel better. And again, it's that diverting from focusing on it. And my other thing is I visualize myself well in the future. I just saw it as temporary, as crazy as it sounds. So once I knew I didn't have to go to chemo anymore, I've probably been on a high since 2013, that it's just there. It's never going to go away.
Yeah, it's all about your mind state.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very cool. So did you have to, by the way, did you have to like change your diet or anything like that after, or any of your
A lot of
lifestyle?
people do. I really didn't. I'm I didn't, well, like fast food and stuff like that, I didn't eat anyhow. So I'd say, I grew up, I'm Italian, so I had a Mediterranean diet my whole life, you know? But no, I'm not the nutrition girl. I'm not the nutrition girl. Like I always tell patients, they go, no, no, no. But again, I was really skinny, so I had to eat anything to gain weight. So, and now everything is really in moderation, probably. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? But I'm not someone who is you know, I still eat meat. Unfortunately, I like steak. So, you know, I know people who have really radically changed their diet, but I
oh yeah,
probably,
I've heard it.
yeah, yeah. And I wish I had that type of willpower, but life is, you know, my oncologist told me one day, go live your life. Well, eating cake and going to Ruth Chris or is going is living life. I mean, it's in everything in moderation is my ideal. So
Awesome. Well, Camille, thank you so much for sharing your story. Where can people follow you? And do you have a website or anything?
on no, but I need to make one. On Facebook mainly, and I'm on, you know, it's just my name, and then Twitter, it's my name, Camille. It's then underscore Moses. Not on Twitter.
Instagram.
Instagram. And then I am on Twitter as just Camille Moses. Mostly my Twitter is a lot of doctors. So if you're interested in doctors and hospitals, I follow a lot of doctors on Twitter. Um, because a lot of doctors throughout the country have heard my story, and you know, and then like I like to see their new papers and stuff. So a way to follow along with that is Twitter. So I follow mainly on there is what I use that for. Well, I'm calling it Twitter, isn't it X? I don't know,
Oh
whatever it's,
yeah, now it is. Yeah, I
yeah,
don't know what
whatever.
to call it. I
Yeah,
feel
I
like they
don't,
call it Twitter or X,
yeah,
formerly known as Twitter or something like that.
oh,
I don't even know.
whatever. Stuff changes every day. Oh, it's great to meet you. Where can I watch this?
Well, this will be on the FighterHeart website and then all over the Instagram, probably exactly where you found Manny. It'll be
Okay,
there. Um,
okay.
so yeah, again, thank you so much for joining and sharing your story is really, I'm sure you're inspiring people everywhere, and that's why you're getting so many people reaching out to you. So, thanks
Thank
again, Camille.
thank you for sharing. No, thank you for this time because you know, you don't know this can help someone because unfortunately most people are diagnosed, they're told what I was told and they're told there's no hope. And so all it takes is one person seeing that, wait a minute, that lady's alive 12 years later, hold on. And you know, it can change their mindset as well.
Yeah, no,
But
we've gotten comments like that, so many. So that's why we're still doing this, of course. So
right.
everyone, thanks for listening to another podcast with the Fighter Heart with another Fighter Heart podcast, and we'll talk to you again next week.